The Galactic Council's annual Apex exhibition was the most anticipated event across 700 civilized worlds. Each species brought their planet's most fearsome predator, contained within molecular force fields, to demonstrate the evolutionary pressures that had shaped their respective civilizations. It was equal parts scientific conference and intimidation display. Ambassador Marcus Williams stood in Earth's designated zone, sweating beneath his formal diplomatic suit. Behind him, in a standard transport crate, something banged rhythmically against the walls. "Is your specimen secure?" asked HFY Thor, the Krellian representative. His species had brought a 20-foot acid-spitting serpent that had already dissolved 3 observation drones. The containment protocols are quite specific. Marcus glanced nervously at the crate. "Oh, she's secure. Technically." The exhibition hall was a marvel of engineering, a massive dome where each species had erected elaborate containment zones. The Vraxians displayed their pack of razor wolves, each beast capable of tearing through titanium plating. The Heliorians brought a plasma drake that radiated heat intense enough to melt steel at 50 paces. The Kentari unveiled their psychic horror, a creature that could induce paralytic fear with a single glance. When Earth's turn came, the hall fell silent. Humanity was the newest member of the Galactic Council, a species that had only achieved faster-than-light travel 3 years prior. Their planet was classified as a death world, a rare designation for planets with gravity, atmospheric pressure, and biodiversity so extreme that they produced exceptionally hardy lifeforms. Every species was curious. What nightmarish creature had emerged from Earth's brutal evolutionary crucible? Marcus took a deep breath and opened the crate. 3-year-old Emma Rodriguez toddled out, her blonde pigtails askew, clutching a worn stuffed elephant. She took one look at the assembled aliens and her face crumpled. "I want mommy," she shrieked. The sound wave hit the nearest delegates like a physical force. The Krellian ambassador stumbled backward, his auditory membranes retracting in shock. Several smaller species dove behind their containment fields. "What is the meaning of this?" demanded High Chancellor Vextrin, a crystalline being whose body literally resonated with outrage. "You bring a juvenile? An infant predator? Where is the actual threat?" Marcus held up a hand. "Please, let me explain." "No, no, 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 no!" Emma screamed, dropping to the floor. She began pounding her fists against the polished metal surface with surprising force. "I don't want to be here." The tantrum escalated rapidly. Emma's face turned red as she kicked her legs, rolled, and screamed with lung capacity that seemed impossible for such a small creature. The acoustics of the dome amplified every wail into an echoing symphony of anguish. Within 30 seconds, chaos erupted. The Vraxian razor wolves began howling in distress, pacing their containment field frantically. The plasma drake's temperature spiked dangerously as it responded to what its instincts interpreted as a threat display. The psychic horror actually retreated to the far corner of its enclosure, its multiple eyes fixed on the small human with something approaching respect. "Make it stop," pleaded the Therian ambassador, their antennae folded flat against their skull. Marcus spoke calmly, though he had to shout over Emma's continued screaming. "This is a human child in the midst of a developmental phase we call the terrible twos, though she's actually 3. What you're witnessing is a completely normal biological response to stress, overstimulation, and not getting her way. This is normal." HFY Thor's scales had paled to a sickly gray. "Oh yes. This can continue for hours if left unaddressed. Human children are essentially persistence predators in training. They have no natural weapons, no venom, no psychic abilities, just the capacity to endure their own distress longer than any caregiver can withstand it. It's a survival strategy that served our species remarkably well." Emma had now progressed to the phase where she was trying to hold her breath, her face turning an alarming shade of purple before she gasped and resumed screaming with renewed vigor. "But surely," Chancellor Vextrin said, his crystalline structure actually vibrating in sympathy with Emma's screams, "surely this cannot be your apex predator. Where is the creature that hunted humans? Where is the evolutionary pressure? Marcus smiled grimly. We are our own apex predator. We always have been. Humans didn't just survive Earth, we dominated it. We turned wolves into pets, we made vegetables from toxic plants, we took one of our most dangerous foods, the pufferfish, and made it a delicacy. But the secret of human success isn't our adults. He gestured to Emma, who had found a new tactic, banging her elephant against the floor while screaming, broken. Fix it, at the top of her lungs, despite the toy being perfectly intact. It's that our children are born absolutely helpless and stay that way for years. A human infant will die without constant care. This created evolutionary pressure for traits like cooperation, communication, and most importantly, patience. Every human adult you meet has survived raising or being raised by something like this. We've been conditioned since birth to endure, to persist, to outlast problems that seem insurmountable. The Kentari delegate, who had been silent until now, spoke in its haunting multitonal voice. The other species bring predators that kill quickly. You bring one that kills the spirit slowly. Not kills, Marcus corrected. Tempers. Like steel in a forge. Also, Earth has actual apex predators too, polar bears, saltwater crocodiles, tiger sharks. But Emma here represents something those creatures don't, potential. In 15 years, she'll be stronger than she is now. In 20 years, she might be an engineer, a doctor, or a soldier. Humans aren't dangerous because we're apex predators. We're dangerous because we decided being prey was unacceptable, and we changed ourselves to ensure it would never happen again. Emma had exhausted herself. She lay on the floor, hiccuping and sobbing quietly, reaching for Marcus with tiny hands. He picked her up, and she immediately buried her face in his shoulder, her small body shuddering with the aftershocks of her meltdown. The exhibition hall was silent except for Emma's fading sniffles. So, Thor said finally, to summarize, humans are a species that survived by developing young that require intensive care for years, which forced them to become patient, cooperative, and utterly relentless. Essentially, yes. And you brought a juvenile specifically to demonstrate this? Marcus looked at Emma, who had fallen asleep against his shoulder, her tear-stained face peaceful now, one small hand still clutching her elephant. I brought her to show you what every human overcomes before they're even old enough to read. Birth didn't make us strong. Taking care of these little chaos agents did. The council voted unanimously to approve Earth's full membership that day. Though some delegates later reported the decision was partially motivated by fear of what humanity might bring to the next exhibition. Emma slept through the entire voting process, dreaming peacefully, unaware that she had just terrified the galaxy's most powerful beings into respecting her species. After all, that's what human children do best: survive, persist, and eventually thrive, no matter how impossible it seems.